Amanda's like, bye. So yeah, I'll be planning. I'm gonna put my planning thing in the diary for next week so that I can go through with everybody. And yeah, it's ridiculously early with Amanda. She's way more. I don't even function before 9 a.m, let alone like I've got one client who always says to me, oh, can we have meetings at 8 a.m, because he does BNI, and I'm like, no. Well, you can, but you will have to pay me more to get out of bed that early. Like, I hate to tell you this. There's only one person that I've ever, like, one sort of job that I've done that for, and let's just say it came with a 6-figure salary, and I was like, maybe I'll get up for that. It's fine. If I didn't adore so many people in Europe, I wouldn't function before 10. I will take that as a massive compliment, Amanda, so thank you. Yeah, BNI is a weird one, Jane. Like, I get it. And having been to a couple of the meetings, I can see how it works for certain businesses, but for me, it just doesn't, because I'm not a like quantity person.
I got my first project through BNI. Wasn't someone who
I got my first proper one-to-one client through BNI, so I really can't kind of moan. Like, my first consultancy client through BNI, but I can't turn up every single week and be like, oh, I need more clients, because I don't. Like, I just physically can't take on the amount of clients that potentially to make it worthwhile, if that makes sense. Or worthwhile of being on a meeting at 6:30 on a Wednesday morning.
I think if you have more of an agency type business, then it's worth it, maybe.
Then it's good. Okay, well, if anyone has any questions, if you want to ask a question, then pop your name in the chat and we'll go through as usual. Like I said, it's a bit more chill today because, yeah, 100%. So I'll rather than put a full timer on, I will allow a little bit extra because my brain isn't working quite as quickly as it usually is. So, but yeah, so but I think you're right. If you are like an agency style business, or it's the sort of thing where you've got lots and lots of staff where you can take in lots. So like it works really well for tradies, I think, because like, you know, a plumber always wants more plumbing work or electricians want more electrician work. But like, yeah, I only can take on 2 one-to-one clients, or well, I could take on more. I don't want to take on more than 2 one-to-one clients at any one point. So
a lot of BNI seem to be looking for architects for a while. I just kept getting bombarded by invites for this BNI, that BNI. I was like, what time do you meet? No, thank you.
The one in Durham, they don't meet till 9:30, and I was like, if you weren't in Durham, then yes, like I would totally be on board for a half an hour. Like I'd happily get on the bus early to go and make a 9:30 like meeting, but like you do not want to see me at 7:00 like on a call. I did it twice and I was just sat there like.
There's one lunch hour one. I've seen a one lunchtime BNI, which I was sort of tempted by.
Yeah, the reason that I like the Durham, this sounds horrible, but the reason I like the Durham one was because they purposefully put it later in the day because they didn't want tradies, etc., to be joining, and they were like, we want us to be more of like, you know, professional consultancy and stuff like that. And obviously like plumbers and electricians and like scaffs and stuff,
they're inside.
They're at work at 9:00 or 2, but they're not even got time to be networking at that time. So I was like, kind of get it, but like seems a bit kind of weird.
Elitist.
Purposefully excluded that we're better than them. I was like, probably earn a lot more than you do. Like most plumbers I know are like rolling in it. So
yeah.
Like I said, it's not COVID, it's bad life choices.
Bad life choices. Why? What were you doing?
Hi, Hannah. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Mariana.
Hi. I have nearly 100 questions.
Okay. Well, if you pop your, what we'll do is if you pop your name in the chat, and then the way that we do it is we go through and everybody gets 15 minutes for each of their question slots. So Carol's asked, and so's Jane. So we can.
I'm happy for Mariana to go in front of me if she wants to go sooner than me. That's fine.
Me too.
I missed the beginning. Sorry, maybe.
No, it's all right. I appreciate this is your first one, so it's but yeah, so the way that we do these is rather than us just sitting, well, I mean, I've already been sat chatting for 25 minutes, but it's fine. Because just so that it doesn't kind of run on too much and people get equal amounts of time, then we have like 15-minute timer. So if you want to go first, I will. There we go. Oh, Amanda's absolutely brilliant. She keeps me right, I swear. So I will pop this on and then you can go first, Mariana. What can I help you with?
Yeah, could you tell me, please, more about the emails when you have already people in the your whitelist?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of information it's better to give them? It's about what the membership site, how it's work, or some specific information about sales. My topic is nearly the same as yours, but in Bulgarian, for Bulgarian audience. So
I cannot do that. Like, I can barely speak English, let alone Bulgarian. So
yeah, and I don't need to excuse about my language. I started 46 years old to study that for zero, for scratch. So
no, never, ever, ever apologize for your English, because if we were having this conversation in Bulgarian, it would have ended a very long time ago.
So
instantly, almost.
Yeah, but I'm happy to study from you and this, and I'm so happy to be here. Anyway, so one the question is about that, whitelist, more information, because I've got my clients. I already put who was my client. I sent them my landing page for registration to be in my inner circle in my future membership site. So I've got already 15 or 20 people there. Brilliant. So I have to communicate with them first, and after that I have to start my website. And I'm wondering, am I capable to do that my own, or I have to find someone to
do it. Okay.
To do that, but after that, anyway, I have to improve every day my contents inside. So I need to be aware for all the process, for everything. Do I have to pay some money for somebody else, and after that study everything for scratch again? So I've got so many questions like that for the beginning. How long you did this website? How long is this all the process take place? Because I've got contents, courses, so many things. I've got people. I have technically to arrange everything in time properly before my first launch.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it clear? Yeah.
So So from an email point of view, I was quite bad with my email list, like my wait list, that I didn't send that much, but it's just about sending them an email, usually once a week, just sort of like normal things. So think more value-based emails rather than just kind of to keep them warm, keep them happy. And then as you get closer to launching, then you can send them emails with more details about the membership and what's included, what sort of things, to get them excited. So depending, what I would suggest is not telling them what's included until you get closer to everything being ready and you're about to launch it, because that's when you want to obviously start to get them very excited, get them wanting to know more. So like, maybe a couple of 3 weeks beforehand or something. From a website building point of view, depending on what platform you want to use will depend on how easy it is. So for me, I am quite technical. I am the sort of person who can pick things up quite quickly from a technical point of view. So it didn't take me very long to understand how to do something, but then it's fitting it into actually doing it. My biggest time thing is actually the content creation, because I was so new and because everything is in my head and I'm just trying to get it down. But I mean, creating the Discord server took a couple of hours. It's really not like, once you know what you want, it's quite easy to kind of create one. Obviously a Facebook group is simple. It's not, it's not too difficult. And then the website itself took me probably a week for me to sit, but if I had been doing it solidly, it would have taken me a week. It took me longer because I wasn't sat solidly working on my website. Personally, if you can outsource it, I am a big fan of outsourcing, because it allows like getting somebody else to do it for you, because they are the expert. I'm not an expert at building a website. That's why sometimes links don't work, because I forgot to put them in, or I've put them to something different while I was building it and then forgot to go back and change it. But also because then you potentially can keep that person on to help you with updating things as it's going, rather than kind of bringing somebody in after. I used to sell software, and I think Amanda will agree with me in the chat that from a tech person's point of view, it's much easier for them to support you when something goes wrong if they have built it themselves. If they are trying to work out what you did and how I put things together, then you end up having to pay them twice as much to fix it as you would have done if they'd have built it in the first time round. Now, luckily, my tech support is Katie Maguire. And Katie, even though I have built things, as in I physically sat and done it, Katie has been there every step of the way, helping me, answering questions. And that's why I'm in her membership, because I can then ask her things and I pay for her support. Yeah, and like Amanda says, something that normally would be maybe a 10-minute fix for her, when she has built it, actually then turns into hours of work, not just fixing it, but also making sure that it doesn't happen again. So what I would suggest is looking at the costs and working out whether or not you can get that support to start with. The other way of thinking of it is that by getting somebody else to do it, it gives you more time to focus on your clients and building that relationship and getting more people onto your wait list, so that when you launch, you make that money back much quicker. So it's that kind of analysis for you to say, is it worth it? And for me, the amount that I paid Katie for the support was enough. If I could go back, I probably would have just got her to do everything, because I could have done other stuff as well. But I made that, like, I was very, very early in my kind of business when I first started thinking about this. If I was doing it right now, not a chance. I would have just thrown money at her and been like, just you do it, you just fix it, like you sort everything, it'd be fine. Because you've already got the content and because you already have trainings for people, that also makes it a lot easier for you, because you can give them the trainings and give them a very clear plan of this is what I want it to look like, how I want people to be able to find things. Whereas I was making it all up as I went along, basically. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What exactly is my compares to make this analysis, what it's better to do? I've got the person who can take the technically.
That's the hard bit.
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Is finding that person. I am also a huge control freak. And a big part of me and my business at the moment is now learning to release some of that control to other people. So the stress and the anxiety it would have cost me before, now I'm like, no, because now I'm looking at it and going, well, if I have to do that myself, I have to turn down paid work because I can't do, but like I only have so many hours in a day. I can't, you know, so it's actually much more cost effective for me to pay Sush and her team and me to pay Katie than it is for me to sit and try and do it myself, because the amount of time that I save, I can take on another one-to-one client, or I can give you guys even more of my support within the pack. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was great. Great help. It's exactly what I'm thinking about. But after that, do you keep this person to update or you every day, because you're producing every day something, text or video, so is the same person will do that, or you will do that?
I would personally I would have that conversation with them at the beginning and say, if you were to build it, can you then, like, can you tell me how much it would cost every month for me to be able to come to you and say, maybe on a, you know, weekly or every 2 weeks, and say, okay, these are the trainings, I need you to add them, I need you to do this. They can help also with things like payment issues, membership, because with MemberPress, when somebody's payment fails, it automatically stops them having access, and only when that payment reinstates, it then allows them to be able to see everything again. But also from a business point of view, being honest, having a team makes you look much better to the outside world. You look like a business, like being able to say, my team are dealing with that, even if my team is actually me but just wearing a different jumper, like, which most of the time it is, being honest, it's usually just me. But it's very good for your brand authority to be able to say, oh, I'll get my accounts team to look at that, or I'll get my tech team to sort that out.
Did you do?
I've got a lot of jumpers, Jen. Like a lot of jumpers. There's a lot. Marketing, finance, tech. Like we've got lots of them, but it's fine. They'll get slowly delegated as the business gets bigger, but mainly because I'm clinging on to all of those jumpers. Like, no, it's fine. I'm okay. And then we get colds and we have to have 2 weeks off. Do as I say, not as I do. My entire business structure.
Sorry. Who made your branding covers? It's impressive. Did you do with Guna, or you did yourself?
So I did my graphics myself in Canva.
Yeah. I tried.
Don't tell a graphic designer. Did it all in Canva. Because Canva is brilliant. Like, I know it's really simple. And one of my one-to-one client, and Lauren, who's in the membership, but she's very, very quiet, is a graphic designer, and she has never touched Canva in her life, because for her, she can do things in minutes in Illustrator that take me minutes in Canva. There's a reason that it's there. But I did Guna's branding. I think it's her like color psychology masterclass that's in.
Oh yeah, I
Desert
saw that.
CBS.
Yeah.
To learn about different colors and what works. And that's why, yeah, like Amanda says, Canva is a tool. If you put shit in, you get shit out. It's the same with any bit of software at the end of the day. It's been so long since I've needed it. Yeah, I'd love to cancel my Adobe, but unfortunately my photography means I still have to have it. But yeah, I looked into color psychology, and that's the reason my brand colors used to be blush and gray, because I think I went far too far into the I'm a woman, respect me, like everything must be pink. And this is like, but actually, like most of my house is teal. I'll just stop that. It doesn't matter. And teal is actually apparently a really, really good color for learning, and it's really like it's helpful for people to learn. So that's why I went for teal as well. But I would definitely recommend looking at things that Guna has in her resources.
I'll do again. I did that. Yeah, thank you. It was great. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you. Oh, here we go. I used Photoshop construction damages our model home photos. The tech, yeah. I've just spent the last 2 weeks photoshopping the background on 453 photos for dancers, because when you buy photography backgrounds, they're only 3 meters, they're really long, but a stand is only 3 meters by 3 meters. Most dancers can jump higher than that, so they tend to get like over the top. And I'm like, it's why I actually really like baby ballet, because they're tiny and they require zero Photoshop. They're like just little in the middle of the thing. It's great. But then it's always the older ones whose parents buy more photos. So you're like, but yeah. I spend my life editing out kind of background signs. I had a photo of the Theatre Royal about this time, about June last year. It was just before lockdown lifted in the UK, and I went out with a dancer to take some photos, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning outside Theatre Royal, but all of the they put up fresh signs everywhere in Newcastle being like, stay 2 meters away from everybody, blah blah blah. So I spent about 4 hours photoshopping all these different signs out of the front of Theatre Royal in Newcastle. I was like, yeah, normally I just take them down if they're like cable tied. I'm just going to cut them off and put them back on. I've got cable ties in my camera bag specifically for that, so okay, sorry, random segue as usual. Carol, my love.
Oh dear, I love ballet. One of my best memories, I went to Moscow to work and went to the Bolshoi on my birthday. Well, on my own, but it was so cool.
Yeah, I before COVID, so back January, not last year, last year. Is it last
Who
year?
knows?
The January pre-COVID, I was actually lucky enough to go and photograph the Russian State Ballet of Siberia in the Darlington Hippodrome. I went and photographed their company class before the show and their rehearsals for Sleeping Beauty, and it was incredible. I was like standing in the wings, and at one point one of the directors was like, are you taking any pictures? I was like, no, I'm just watching. I was like, they're just absolutely incredible. Incredible.
Do you have a portfolio anywhere I can nose through?
Yeah,
just leave me a link sometime so I can go dream. I had to give it up when I grew. So.
And our 16-year-old was on the route of becoming a professional dancer, but then she decided when we came out to the UK not to do it anymore because of the bullying and the eating disorder side of it.
Yeah, well, a lot of all of my photography business is dance photography. That's literally all I photograph. I do photograph other things, but I don't advertise them. And quite a few of my clients are at full-time ballet school in the UK, either at White Lodge, which is the Royal Ballets, or there's Elmhurst, there's a couple of others. And it was one of the first things I asked. I was like, it bothers me. Like, it really bothers me, this whole kind of like, you must look, and finding out which of the schools are actually really good and which of the other schools are maybe not so fantastic. Like one of them in Scotland has been closed down because the principal's son was a paedophile. That was, yeah. But
it actually pushed her totally in the other direction. And it was a shame. I had to get myself out of it first to actually let her decide what she wanted to do. And she just totally went off it. So she hasn't danced in 10 months now. And she says, if you ask her, she said, I'm not missing it. So there's been a lot of bullying and
there's a lot. It's a very, very, very competitive industry and very like difficult. But yeah, so this is, I don't know if you can see these, but this was them. And this was just warm up. She just casually was just like, oh yeah, my leg's just above my head. I was like, Jesus.
And they make it look so easy, which is
effortless,
isn't it? So.
I was trying to explain to a younger dancer that she was like, well, why can you take photos of them jumping, but it's difficult for you to take them of me? I was like, because what they don't realize is the more technically trained the dancers are, when they do leaps or kicks and things, because I've been doing it for about 5 years, I can see their preparations, I can anticipate things, but also when they jump, they float. It sounds really stupid because if you're watching them, you're like, no, they don't, Hannah, they jump really quickly and then they're on the floor. But compared to younger dancers who literally are like, boop, and that's it, gone, you're not going to see it. These professionals, as they just glide and their whole jumps and everything are just, it's so much easier to photograph them. Yeah, they don't. Which is why I get really angry when I see bad photos of professional dancers, because I'm like, it's really not hard. Like, why are you getting it wrong?
Yeah, it's they don't believe in gravity. That's the key point.
They are full on defying gravity.
Yeah, aim for the floor and miss. Can always get hitchhikers in there somewhere. I don't actually have a specific question. I just have
I'll put a timer on anyway. Just
I'm kind of lost and flat and there.
Okay, darling.
So I've got that bloody guilt thing going. Nobody's bought it.
Right, okay.
As a surprise. So I just need to work on marketing for that. I don't have any other offers, although I can refresh existing things and fling all those in. I think I've probably killed my brain from the Social Bee refresh that I did while I was doing Alex's challenge. And that's kind of...
You went hard.
I did. It needed doing.
Every live, I was like, Carol, you don't have to do that many. But I get it. I 100% get it.
Well, I've got 3 websites and they need... And Twitter drives a lot of traffic.
Right.
Pinterest also drives a lot of traffic, but I need somebody to do that for me. So one day I will have that. But so I am mindset stuck in driving traffic the way I used to, but I've upped the promos and stuff on Social Bee. So that is now finally under control and traffic's lifted because it's not just retweeting the same crap for the last 5 years. So I need to do something a bit different for the guilt workshop,
right?
Because I could do with getting some passive income that doesn't require me constantly going on. I just literally don't have the energy. Capacity is non-existent. My husband going away tomorrow, back for a week, and then going off to live in India, so which is going to make my life easier in one respect, but obviously I'm then going to have a lot more commitments to be chauffeur.
No, understood.
So basically looking for ideas on marketing, which I know isn't quite the point.
No, but I get it. So what I think we can try and do for you, and Amanda might be really useful, like, well, it might be really useful. That was about to sound very harsh. She is very useful, but it's tech related. Is to look at more. So I say recently, I joined a Facebook group quite a while ago for course creators. And they all use platforms. So they don't host their own courses on their websites. They host them on things like, I think there's one called Thinkific. Yeah, those sorts of ones. And it's kind of piqued my interest a little bit, not necessarily for my signature program, but maybe on like smaller things, just because they do a lot of promo for you. So it's there, and it's kind of like, they can search, you can kind of like search through stuff, and it's like a learning portal almost, that lots and lots of like AppSumo almost, of like, rather than you having to go and find things. But what might be really useful for you is kind of having a look at that, the journey, like how do we go? So we do it, you've done all that fantastic work from like a driving traffic sort of point of view, but how can we make that funnel almost more automated, so that it's much more kind of like, okay, they go to your website, right, they can download X, then right, yeah, okay, Amanda, I wasn't aware of
I'd heard of that,
yeah.
I looked into courses a few years ago, and if I do one, I want, like you, complete control.
Yeah.
So
it's it was less of specifically using those platforms, and more of kind of like taking a lot of what they do and kind of going, okay, let's build it myself, like, and kind of linking everything, to say, okay, let's work out that journey of where do we want people to do, how do we kind of get, what's the end goal, are we pushing people to like, because you have so much stuff that you've already done over the years, and you've got books and, you know, things that can easily make massive courses, even if it's not necessarily packaged like that at the moment, if that makes sense. You've got lots of things that you've already got. So why don't we have a look over the next kind of couple of weeks, as things are like, you know, obviously going on, and when you can, at that, where do we want them to go? What's the end kind of goal? Is it one-to-one stuff? Is it a signature program? Is it a membership? Because then we can very easily look at, okay, so then from that, what's the step before that? Then what step can we put in before that? Because you're like me, and everything's very like, we need it to be logical, because then it's very easy to go, okay, this bit maybe isn't working, we can tweak that little bit and then that little bit, rather than, oh my God, we need everything, because that's the panic. That's where I say to people, don't look at 12 months. Like, that's why I work in chunks rather than the full.
Yeah, I would like to run a group program. I've had 2 failures on membership sites, so even though I've paid for member press, one-to-one I find too much, but I'd love to run a group program on something, God knows what. I have drafted out a lead magnet, which is either 3 or 5 conversations to have before moving overseas.
Love that.
And then I will get the people that are at the beginning who I want. That's
what you want. Yeah. People who you could like look at you or look to you to be their, almost their like expat fairy godmother. You know, you're the person who's going to kind of not necessarily wave the magic wand, because we all know there's no such thing. As much as we all watch Cinderella and went, where is that? Like, I want that wand.
Yeah.
But I think for you, because you're so good at what you do, and you've got so much life experience from it as well, those people who are at the beginning of their journey they're kind of like the perfect clients, because you can lick every single thing that comes out of your mouth. They'll be like, oh my God. Whereas like people who are maybe like, well, I've been doing this years, like I just need some such and such. They're very stuck in their ways. Like it's very much a case of, well, I know what I'm doing. I just need your help with X. And that's where you get pain in the ass.
And before that, I want to move overseas. Oh, where do you want to go? I don't know, anywhere. I don't want them.
No. You want people that have got a reason and they know where, like, this is what I want to do. I've done the
I've planned it. I've got the job.
Yeah. I've got it. Shit, I've got 6 months. Get me there. Like, and I need everything to be sorted because I've got a notice period. So
it's very niche. It's kind of very hard to catch them at that point. Ultimately, this is about as far ahead as I can ever dream, is to get into the corporate world and get their global.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And I started looking at this back in 2019, and then of course COVID. So, but that's and I really end goal.
Yeah, and I really see that for you as well, because I think you, like, I'm thinking of like Siemens, like when I worked for Siemens, it is part and parcel of every senior manager's route to the top is that at some point you have to do a delegation. And that delegation is for a minimum of 18 months, which means you have to uproot your entire family.
That's
like
cool.
You can't leave them, or you can, but it makes for some very pissed off wives and a lot of divorce.
I actually was talking to Ernst & Young and Price Waterhouse before COVID, and they were actually moving, Ernst & Young were moving towards 6-month relocations, which is just like, don't bother with that. But so that's my ultimate goal. But in the meantime, I need to make money. So you're saying about the journey, where do I want them to go? I want them to buy something.
What about
days I'm not having anything?
No, I get that. What about targeting recruiters on LinkedIn for a power hour style? So, because what I'm thinking is I know we don't want to do one-to-one stuff going forward. But what I'm thinking is if we could potentially use your power hours to build some relationships with recruiters and HR departments in B2B world for those people who you are moving to. So I'm thinking my old MD, or he's not my old MD, never my MD, my husband's MD now, but the guy that now runs Siemens in Biker did a 2-year delegation in Canada. So he left Newcastle as the projects director, moved to Canada to be managing director. I think he was vice president, because, Canadian Americans love their presidential titles in businesses. He did that for 2 years and then came back as the MD. And that was always the plan, is that he had to have an international delegation before he came back and ran the business in the UK.
That's clarified something, because I was fairly sure that there was a route in various companies.
Most corporates, like Siemens, definitely do it because it's a global company. They like basically and Darren's actually the perfect example for you, because Darren started at Siemens at 16 as an apprentice in Biker, had worked there literally until he was like 45, about 48, 40, 49, got to projects director, and then was like, you are the next logical successor for managing director, but you have never been out of these 4 walls. Like, you have no idea of life outside of this business. So that's why they made him, like, they force people to do delegations. There's also a guy called Ralph who I used to work with, who was from the Berlin office, did a 2-year delegation in Newcastle, and is now doing a 2-year delegation in Dubai with his wife, and then will go back to Berlin to be the sales director. It's like the logical career path.
It's very mind-opening. It's
and from a
countries there.
And from a corporate point of view, they have, like, big businesses, and not even really, like, even smaller businesses, they have like this, the top 1% that they nurture from the time that they get hold of them, and that plan is in place since day one. So like when I worked for Siemens, it was made crystal clear to me that if I wanted to become managing director, I had to do an international delegation. And then they go on the whole like, and you're a woman, so you do need to plan that in if you're going to have. And I'm like, yeah, all right. Like, I just move with a kid. Yeah. I know it's a pain in the ass, but you have to do it. Like if I wanted that, that's what you do.
Yeah, they're pretty portable. It's fine.
Yeah, they just go where you go, don't they? Just pick them up, take with you.
Jane's partner is always half naked.
Oh no! What a shame.
Sorry, just very distracting there.
Jane's younger Brazilian partner just randomly walks in half naked. We're like, what? She's
trying to have a grown-up phone call here. Okay, so I will focus on my lead magnet.
Yeah, so I think you're the lead magnet, and then because I think that would be great for pushing to have a talk to, maybe tag Alex in Discord, because Alex is an ex-recruiter and she's also an ex-international recruiter because she used to work for a Scandinavian firm. So she might have some connections in LinkedIn that at least, because what it could be is worth having a conversation with maybe one or two and sort of say, look, if you're, because I imagine as a recruiter, one of your biggest fears is you place the perfect candidate and then they get serious cold feet like 2-3 weeks before they're supposed to start, and then they bail and you lose your commission.
Yeah, I've got
unless they physically turn up, you do not get paid.
Yeah, I've got a lot of crap in my head about what happens when what do you call them, delegation? It's a different word for every company. Goes wrong. Expat failure. So you're kicking me off on that route now, which is something I needed. I just have found out I had no direction in the last couple of weeks because I'd done the whole guilt thing and then didn't go further.
Because I think where I see the money for you is in those relationships with businesses, because people only have their own personal interest in moving, and as lovely as the nomadic people, those sorts of people are, they're very much used to doing things themselves. Like you do not go into a traveling working lifestyle unless you have some sort of ability to Google things and to find out what stuff is, whereas corporate or B2B delegations are things that you have to do to progress your career, and they are not something, and you might have a PA, but a PA doesn't know what school your kids should go to, and they can have a conversation with another PA, but it's just hearsay. It's not going to be actual, proper, factual sort of advice for people.
Yeah, see, this is really useful because, of course, I've got experience from the civil service where they are totally set up with that, and you don't have any choice where you send the kids. And
right, okay. So I don't know how much it is. All I know is my own being friendly with PAs, so I know how much shit there was when and I'm thinking of Darren because he moved. The delegation originally I think was only going to be 6 to 12 months, so he moved to Canada without the family stayed in the UK, and he commuted every month or something, would fly back and have a weekend with the family and then fly out again. And whereas then it got extended, so the kids then moved, the wife did not for a portion. It's a very difficult and then everyone came back and it's fine. Everything is now okay, but there was a lot of stuff there but the delegation, it was literally a case of like, you're moving in a month, like your job is like, that's it, your job, like you need to, because it's all internal. You don't have notice periods. It's not as much of a as far as the company is concerned. Well, if you can work from Newcastle, you can work from Canada.
We have a year, so huge difference. That's really, really helpful.
Lots of corporates are not like it's a case of, oh, you've got the job, oh, you start in 2 months or you start in 3 months or something. That's it. It's not like
it's kind of what I imagined. And well, from talking to everybody as well, no, that's really fascinating and really helpful. All right, so what I'm going to do is focus on my new lead magnet.
I think that lead magnet is a great one, and I would get that out on LinkedIn.
Should it be free?
Yes, because I think
Yeah.
I think if you went for don't put too much in it, don't go too mad, but like the top 3 to 5, because what you'll get is if you did the top 5, I appreciate this is more than 15 minutes, but I don't care. You've piqued my interest now. Damn it. You can tell my brain's not worked properly for a week and a half, can't you?
Well, I'm glad it started on mine. So glad it started on mine.
Because if you did the top 5 is a nice number, because 3 sometimes I think people, especially in B2B world, 3 sounds a bit stingy sometimes. I'm like, what, only 3? Okay. 5 is like a nice number, but also there's probably things in there that a lot of them haven't even thought about. And if you give them enough information to sort of say, oh, this is something you need to think about, and here's potentially like a link or something, or like a little bit of a factoid that will give them like that taste of, oh, that's really useful. But what the whole point of a lead magnet, this sounds horrible, by the way, the whole point of a lead magnet is to give somebody enough information that they go, oh my God, that's really useful. But shit, what else don't I know?
Yeah, that's why I was going for 3. Yeah, 5 is.
Well, have a think what the 5, like if you were to do 5, what would they be? And then it might be that like you could start with 3 and see what happens.
No,
and then
that's absolutely brilliant, because what I was doing was thinking of the wrong people.
Right. Okay.
So now that I'm going to focus on the B2B,
I think if you go
that
down
helps,
that route, yeah,
helps me list,
because then
big red circle around that.
Yeah, because also longer term for you, I know you say you don't like one-to-one stuff, but if we were talking one-to-one consultancy, and when I say one-to-one, we're not talking you and a person who's moving, we're talking you and a company who delegates X number of people per year. We can stomach that kind of one-to-one. It's got noughts at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I mean, the one-to-ones are fine. It's just I personally find them exhausting because I never know what's going on. From a day-to-day process.
Exactly. Whereas if you had more of the B2B stuff, they know international positions that are coming up. They know people in advance. It's not like, Carol, today I need such and such. And it's the same day that the toilet's not working, the daughter's decided she's out till 3 a.m. and all that stuff. It's much more.
Squirrel comes in the kitchen.
Yeah, squirrel comes in. I saw that. I was like, oh my God.
I know. Wednesdays do not like me. So, okay, just a very quick further question on Siemens delegations. How much is generally sorted out for the delegatee? Do they have to do it all themselves, or is there some provision for removals companies, for flights and no?
They will get from what I understand, they get a remuneration package.
Yeah.
But it's very much a sense of you're moving to Canada.
And they have to deal with it themselves.
Yeah, I think there'll be things like work visas and stuff would be sorted because it will be done internally.
Yeah.
Because I know that actually Caroline might be a really good person to put you in contact with.
I don't deal with visas because
no. I'm just not from that sense. I just mean that so Caroline was a woman who used to be the poor person that like, oh, we're sending 40 people to Iraq next week to help with a field service job, and she was the poor bugger that was constantly on the phone to the embassy and all those things, sorting out security and everything. But I'm pretty sure like the legalities of being able to work somewhere else and tax and all those stuff is done for you by the company.
That's all right.
But physically,
the personal stuff.
So like where are your kids? Like, because they don't really care if you've got like as much as big corporations are like, we care about people. No, they don't. They don't. It's a corporate poster. It's not a real thing.
Yeah, no, I got that. All right, my love, you have set my brain on the right track and helped me immensely. Thank you so much.
I am glad.
Love you.
Jane. Look, bloody hell, my phone's gone mad. 1 second.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, it's all right. It's just hello. Sorry. One of my friends moved house yesterday and she's made herself a fort with a dog.
With all the boxes.
just boxes and then a sheet over the top, and her and a dog sat there going, I'm in a fort. I'm like, brilliant. My husband wouldn't let me make a fort when we moved. He was like, I need to unpack. I'm going away in 4 days. We need to unpack. I was like, so boring.
So fun. Let me play.
Made a fort when he'd left. I was like, fine. Right.
Totally safer with empty boxes.
Okay, well, especially with a cat. Lose him in a box. What can I help you with, my love?
I just want to talk through this. So tomorrow I've got a site meeting with the developer and planner who got in touch with me to help them with this project that has loads of red flags, really, because basically the developer went ahead, and it's a listed building, went ahead and built a 3-story extension when they had planning permission for 2 stories. So they're now having to demolish what they built and build a new 2-story extension instead, which is crazy. Why they can't just demolish the top story, I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure it's possible to demolish bits. But anyway.
I think grand designs, they take stuff out all the time.
Exactly, just demolish the top bit. Anyway, so, but as the planner reckons that the developer has been sort of castigated in a way by the planning department for having done what he did, and that tends
to happen. Yeah, they tend to get a bit pissy when you go against what they've allowed, but yeah, it's just easy not to ask.
they've slapped on a few conditions, which are like a little bit ridiculous, like and have money associated with them, so the developer would rather not do them and wants to get an amendment to the planning application, and that's what he wants me to help with. But I don't really want to do it. I don't know what it's like, but it's not the sort of stuff that I do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
it sounds boring. The project, I don't know until I go tomorrow, really. And then it's at £97 an hour. Okay, that seems like quite a lot, but actually it doesn't feel like a lot for, it's a listed building. It needs me to use all my knowledge and possibly research and just, I have got more specialist knowledge on the conservation side than your typical architect. So it is more of a specialist job. It's not. But anyway, I've already given the price of £97.
Yeah, and you also haven't told them how many hours, remember that?
No, true.
So, I mean, I will openly admit I have done tracked hourly jobs, and I have sat with the tracker on so that it ticks over into 2 hours when something's taking me 1. Because and that's why the majority of the time I say to people, don't like hourly paid contracts, because it's difficult, because you are essentially getting penalized for being able to do something quicker. So like Amanda, for instance, I would never recommend her building a website on an hourly based contract, because the amount of value that person gets for getting it quicker is more, not less. So you should be paid more for doing it quickly, not less. Mm-hmm. That's my point. So yeah, from that point of view, I get that it's not, maybe you're starting to get second guessing the hourly rate, but it is an uncapped, you know, if you go tomorrow, you have that conversation and you say to him, look, this is not going to be a 3 or 4 hour job. We're talking like
time, possibly. I just don't know. I actually just don't know, which is why we charge it as an hourly job, because it's really hard to say.
But you can easily say to him, look, we're talking like tens, if not, you know, more than 50 hours. Like we're talking decent amount of work. This is not a quick fix.
This is also my worry, is that I don't have loads and loads of time to do that kind of job. And yes, I do need to earn money, but also I'm worried that doing that kind of job, which is really time intensive, like it's literally, and he wants it done as soon as possible. I've tried to set expectations lower, but you know, my setting expectations lower, and I might have set them actually still too high for what they are, because I don't really know how long it's going to take. So I'm worried about that.
Okay, well,
I'm more worried about me doing, you know, focusing on that, get, you know, my effort and energy and time going into that, and then
everything else falling off.
Yeah, because you know, I can. So next week I've got a fitting call with somebody who I spoke with a year ago, who's like really followed along and like watched lots of my videos live on Facebook and stuff like that. And last year he was speaking to me about a house that he was thinking about buying. Now he's just completed and owns a new house. So the chances of him actually going ahead and booking are quite high. So that's 3. And then I only need 3 more to sort of reach my goal for the time for this next quarter of £7,000 with the foundation package. But I'm worried that, you know, that plus then I've got, you know, I want to be putting effort into selling the mini course and you know, getting in touch with people to deliver like guest expert slots for that, and then also looking to sell the power hours. So, you know, all these are the things which are much easier for me to deliver on, take a lot less time and effort once I've sold them. But it's more, I'm just
more time to sell them. So okay, brutal time, right? So you have 2 options with this. Okay, the first option is that it's potentially good money. Yes, it might only be £97 an hour, but we're not talking about 2 or 3 hours. We're talking about decent money. So you can the 2 options are, you either take it or you don't. There is no other option, because they either want you fully or not at all, because they need somebody that amount of time. On the taking it, it's a cash injection. It's a potential for a relationship with the developer and other bits and pieces. It is, yes, it's not necessarily what you want to be doing, but it is still within your zone of genius. It is still something that you can do. And if we get the contract, like, you know, we set those boundaries and things right at the beginning and say to them, look, this is the turnaround time for stuff. You cannot send me an email and expect an answer like that. This is the boundaries. It is within 72 hours. It is, or whatever.
5 days.
Well, 4 days, 5 days, whatever. Then it's kind of one of those, like, for the money, you can suck it up. Like, if it's going to be a lot of money, then, you know, you can suck it up. On the other side of things, you don't take it, you don't get the cash injection, and therefore you have to push more on the fitting calls on your LinkedIn. You have to push more on power hours and things to get those clients and stuff. So I get where you're coming from, that it is not your ideal. It's the same as me. Like, I got an inquiry for a consultancy gig that I turned down the other week because there's far too many cooks in the pot, and I was like, nah, sorry. Like, as egocentric as this sounds, I'm like, no, if you want to pay me at my rate, then you listen to me. I am not having an argument with some marketing person and another person who does X, Y, and Z, because no, you're paying for my expertise. But it was a canny sized job, and I was sat there going, but I can only do that because I don't have that stress. I am in a position where I can turn down work at the moment. So ultimately, only you can make that decision. I cannot turn around to you and say, oh, just sack it off. Like, because I can't sit here and guarantee that you're going to get 10 power hours every month for the next 3. No, nobody can. And you can't either. But you have to have that kind of thought process of, do I take it? Except that things might go a little bit, like your fitting calls are coming through with very little kind of.
I'm not putting much effort into getting fitting calls.
No, it doesn't mean that you just stop altogether and that you don't follow up with people and you don't, continue to talk about it in certain places with those other platforms that you were talking about that I had no idea even existed. But if you've got those and you've only got to get 3 confirmed, like if those come off, like 3 confirmed ones in 2.5 months, then that's doable, especially considering it is the time of year where people are starting to think
about next year,
exactly. So like I'm sat here obviously with the, like, about the heat pump, because I asked you the innocuous question that my husband went, fuck it, I think it's fine, we'll just leave it. And I was like, okay. It's like, yeah, it'll be fine. But it then throws up into everybody's minds, it's coming up to Christmas. Is everyone having family around for Christmas that's suddenly really going to emphasize the fact that a 3-bedroom house with 8 people is probably not going to be the most fun? So you need to start thinking about X, Y, Z, etc. But like you say, you've only got a certain number of hours in a week that you can work because of other commitments, etc., because of your capacity. So do you want to focus on pushing for other things that are more fun? And I know it's a really difficult conversation, like, and I know it's really hard because it's like, it's fine when you're getting bookings in and you're kind of like riding that wave of, oh, well, you've booked 2 fitting calls in 2 days, haven't you? So it's like,
I think the thing is, I've never worked with developers.
Right.
There's an upside of working with developers is that they can be repeat clients, and having a repeat client who's good and comes back with like a regular sort of job.
Yeah.
I've seen that is how other friends of mine who run their own practices have successful, stable practices, because they have several developers on their books who use them regularly, and that means that they then in a position to be able to employ staff, and they
it's your consultancy gig.
Yeah. But I've never really been that excited about working with developers, because my thing is bespoke design that is really personal, and developers, their work is generic.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they do really good market research and have really clear idea of their ideal clients who they are looking to use the property, it's still generic. And that's not my way of working. And so that's one of the many reasons why I've not really been that, I'm not excited about working with developers because of that. Obviously, the projects are bigger, and a bigger project means a bigger fee generally. But then they expect like percentages of stuff, which I'm like totally not. I'm not used to doing, because I do packages, and again, I don't have packages for developers, so I don't really know how to go about charging them. And so it's just like a totally different market that I've never been really interested in working with. And I'm not sure, I am sure that they wouldn't be interested in the kind of packages that I do, because it's not, they're too expensive
and it
for them. And
it wouldn't be that either. And I think the way that you have to look at it from a sales and a business point of view is that working with a developer is a different arm to the business, to what you do most of the time. And then it's not an instead of, it's an as well as, because it would then allow you, as you say, to build that practice and to have some people like get that. Whereas because you work very bespokely and because the way that you work is extremely like unique to each individual client, we can't clone Jane, and unless we find the clone of Jane.
Could still, you know, like Zaha Hadid was bespoke and very unique, but she still had an enormous practice of hundreds of architects. It doesn't mean that you can't have a house approach and still employ people. It's really just that I don't have the regularity and the scale of work coming in that's enabled me to employ anybody.
Well, I think considering the position that you're in, obviously you're going tomorrow. It's not as if you've said yes or said no yet. We're still kind of in that limbo. To have that conversation tomorrow, but go into it with an open mind. Like, don't go into it that, like, I know how easy it is to go into a meeting or go into a call and kind of be like, I don't want to do this, it's boring and everything's shit and blah blah blah. Because, you know, the brutal side of it is that sometimes you do have to do shit that you don't like. And actually, I've taken on jobs that I thought, like, I started working with an accountant, for God's sake. That did not fill me with excitement. I thought, oh God, this is going to be like boring accountancy.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
but
blah. Actually,
I've been doing this job for
funnest
20 odd years. And I've had enough of doing the shit stuff. I feel like I've done my dues. I feel like I've more than paid my dues for doing the shit
completely
stuff
get
that I don't want to do.
But there is, you know, even within that respect, there is a point where, like, if it's a case of, like, if we were sat here and you had no other work on, I would be being very blunt with you right now and being like, Jane, I couldn't give a shit what you like doing. You need to get money in the bank. Like, I couldn't give a shit whether or not you don't like it. My advice is take the damn job, because it's work, it's gonna get stuff in, and you can suck it up for a month to get cash in the bank.
My worry is that doing that work block me from doing the other stuff that I actually want to be doing, because like you say, like this time of year now, it's building up. Then obviously
which is why I'm not being that harsh.
And then in January my work tends to go completely mental. From January to May it goes completely mental, and then it's dead over the summer. And this year, because of one thing and another, I ended up having the 3 months over the summer with no sales whatsoever of anything. And that's why I have become, have been I haven't paid myself for 2 months. So it has been like kind of felt a bit panicky this like last month or so.
But also, if you know that there's that cycle, that helps you with your decision, because you know that you have a cyclical business. You know that people focus more on their homes during the winter than they do during the summer, because in the summer we're all out gallivanting and holidaying and all doing fun things. So my suggestion to you, like, and I completely get where you're coming from, that you are worried that it takes away from those other things and, and all of that side of things, which I get. And that's why I have turned down consultancy work, because if I'd have taken the job that I quoted for the other week, you guys would literally see me on Masterminding and dropping into Discord every now and then. And that is not long-term what I want for my business. You have to look at the now benefit versus the longer term benefit. And for me, the short-term gain was not worth the long-term shit, potentially, of like, half of you deciding that you don't want to be in the pack anymore and disappearing. Like, so
I'm sort of thinking maybe, because it's basically 3 details, and I'm sort of thinking maybe I can talk with them about just dealing with one at a time and like dealing with the priority ones, because there's ones that are to do with the extension that he's building, and then other bits, like one's to do with internal alterations, and then one's the front doorstep, which can be done at any point really.
You got a plan, and everything. It must have this colour door. You're like, oh, fuck off.
They're ridiculous, like really fiddly, minute detail. And I'm not a detail person. This is why it's like a bit, I'm much more like a bigger picture person. And so thinking in the details and having to draw all the details and deal with it, it was like.
Well, I think rather than worry about that, let's focus on this. The focus is, you go to the meeting tomorrow, you have the conversation, you find out, you know, because you could turn up and the guy could be a complete and utter twat and you just go, nah, fuck that shit. You could be paying me £997 a month, an hour, and I'd still not want to bloody work with you.
Although my problem is that I always like see the positive in people, and then
which is fine, and it is much nicer way of living in life rather than
but even if on my gut instincts like this is an idiot, like I'll still go, oh, but he seems all right, really, like he's friendly enough and all that. So I kind of like override myself.
So you have the chat, you find out what the crack is, like have a proper, you know, and then you come away from it. You have a couple of hours and then you think about it logically and say, okay, is it worth it? And then you go back to them. And I personally think, even if you are like, you do turn up and you're smitten and it's like, oh my God, actually, this is the best thing ever. You still do it in a similar way of do one and then the next and then the next, because that gives you constant get out of jail free cards. Because if you do the first one and then you're like, actually, you're a pain in the fucking ass, I don't want to do this anymore, I've had to turn away loads of other work because of it, you can turn around and say, do you know, I don't have the capacity anymore to take on X, Y, and Z like anymore. If you do want it, the fee's now doubled. Like you do it in the chunks. So go and have the conversations tomorrow, see how it goes, and then we can have a look at, you know, is it a complete and utter no, or is it a potential yes, but we're going to do it in a much more structured way so that you can still maintain both sides of things. All right?
Yeah, that seems like it might work. If I can just do it like I'll do a little bit now whilst I'm doing my normal stuff, and this is a little bit on the side.
Exactly. And then it's an as well as, not an instead of, because at the moment you're looking at the whole thing, which is I can't do anything else for the next 3 months because this is completely what they need me for.
Exactly.
Whereas actually, if you can have those conversations and manage those expectations of, no, we need to do things in a logical order, and you sell it to them as it's better for you. It's not, it's brilliant for you as an architect because you're like, no, I'll just do a little bit and then I'll dip in, dip out, what have you. But you say to them, look, you've got enough bloody stress as it is. You don't need us trying to do all of this shit all at the same time. It's going to cause loads and loads of problems. Let's prioritize things and do it in healthy little chunks so that it's much easier for you from a stress level point of view. And then, hello. This one has not left my side for 2 weeks. Because I've not been well, so he's like obsessed. But yeah, so go and have a conversation, get the details and stuff, and then we can go from there. All right?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
He's a quiche.
He's so cute.
He's my little muffin. Yes. Okay. Right. Time is on. Go. We've got about half an hour, 45 minutes before my lemsip just dies. So we're like riding the drug wave.
Right.
Fine. I'm not not crack or anything.
So I have at the moment the feeling I'm everywhere and nowhere. I'm going from total imposter syndrome between everybody who's been in corporate world or studied somewhere or was an MBA or something like this, and so on, between me being a life coach and a Pilates instructor. Yet I'm very passionate about it, and I have certainly the life experience to pull the life coaching off successfully, even if I wouldn't have a training in it.
Jesus, you wouldn't want me as a life coach. What decisions have you made, Hannah? Bad ones. Do not follow my advice.
Well, yeah. So it's
tequila, everything will be fine.
You know my story. So it's but in the moment, so I have literally. So I made a list. I'm literally in every membership of all you guys available. I have every tool of all you guys available, right? So I'm good in that, and I'm good in planning. But I'm not good with playing with it then.
Right, okay.
I have a signature program, which I've done actually years ago. So I do find from time to time that I actually have a lot of confidence and content. Yep. So then my confidence goes up. But and I want to bring out a program at the end, sort of to Christmas, so 6 weeks before, to get Pilates without pills, with this life coaching and Pilates to get them healthy into New Year. I'm terrified that this is going to be a lot of work with a lot of flop, but it's sort of the stepping stone. I wanted to be into a membership, basically the mini version of the membership. I made a landing page, if I may drop it into the chat, and I don't know what to do with it now.
Okay. Drop it in the chat and I can open it and we'll have a look.
I discovered now that I had I fought with Active Campaign over the weekend, and I also had an onboarding sessions with them. I watched 1,000 YouTube channels over them until it literally came out of my ears. And now I have the feeling I might have to go to Active Campaign University or something like that to actually totally understand. But it sort of, I discovered that my landing page, if you put your email in there, it's not going somewhere on Mars. It's actually appearing in my tags. So I found my name there because I tried it out. I thought that was
I always do that. And I look at stuff and people people ask me, so how many people have you got signed up? And I always end up having to take like 4 off because I've signed up with every email address I know, like I have, just to test it and make sure that things are working.
Yeah, I'm I think 3 times in my own program.
Oh yeah. I'm on everything. I get everything. I get so many of my own emails. It annoys the crap out of me. Like they're everywhere. I'm like, go away.
But I see from everybody now what they're all doing, and these wonderful website looking things where there's 5 buttons in between, buy here and buy this. But I haven't got an absolute clue. All I have is that now and the knowledge in my head.
It's okay. It's fine. So what's this landing page for then? So what is the aim of it?
They will get a free 15 minutes video,
right?
A stretch and relax video,
right? So this is for your lead magnet,
yeah, so that I get actually some email addresses, because currently I only have the email addresses of the people who are actually working with only.
Yeah. Okay. Fab. Okay. So the one thing that I would suggest with these is to try and put that link as high up that page as possible.
Okay.
So I'll show you mine. My dashboard. So literally mine is, so this is for my price objection one. It is just, do you want to do, because what you do normally with lead magnets and things is you are using your socials to push people to a page, or you drop it into like at the end of a guest expert or a podcast or something. You say, oh, you want a freebie from me, like you can download it here. So hopefully by the time they get to the page, they already want the thing that they have gone there for.
Okay.
So we want to make it as easy as possible for somebody to give you their email address. So if you look at the difference, this is mine. So somebody's come to this link. Oh, well, it's here. There's my button that says get it now.
Yeah.
Whereas for yours, I have to scroll all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
So what I would leave this one here as well. I'm not saying like, but I would suggest up here, like in that first block, you have like, so are you tired and exhausted by the end of the week? Download my free stretch and reflect 15-minute video here, and then a link.
Okay.
Like, and then the thing for them to put your email address in.
Great.
The other thing that I would say is get them to give you their first name and last name, because then when you're sending emails to them,
I can personalize it.
Yeah, you can personalize it. You can use that personalized tag. So, I mean, we all know, apparently we don't actually, this will make Amanda laugh, but when I was sending out emails for campaigns and things, you do get people emailing being like, why am I getting this? I've already done such and such, or I don't want this. I'm like, it's a bloody email campaign. Like, I am sending this to everybody. But having that name really, like, it increases the amount of people that will start to interact with things because it's included. But apart from that, it looks great.
So what do I do with it now?
So the whole idea, I'm going to stop sharing because I can only stare at it belly. So what you need to do with this is basically get it out there on socials. So be saying to people, use that question of, are you tired at the end of the week? You know, do you suffer from back pain? Do you suffer from shoulder pain? Do you suffer from XYZ? As maybe an engagement question on your socials and things. And then when people go, oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm shattered by Friday. Oh yeah, my back really hurts by Friday or something. Then you can reply to them and say, here is a link where you can download my free guide. Like, here's something that you can do to go and get it. Like, so that I can help you. The same with posts that basically say, like, do you want my free guide to eliminating back pain, or like helping you with your back pain, or helping with XYZ? And then putting that link to that landing page in the comments so that people can just go. It's about putting it in front of people. It's exactly the same as if you're selling a power hour or you're selling something. They are buying it because they are paying with their email address.
Yeah. Okay.
So you need, essentially, it's about getting it out there. And if you want to build your email list and things, because if the plan is that you want to launch something before Christmas, yeah, that's right, for the new year, then the whole of the next 4 weeks are about growing the hell out of that email list and getting as many people as possible. So try and get yourself guest expert slots. Think about like podcasts. Think about joining groups and trying to build those connections, growing your audience and stuff, and sharing that lead magnet so that that list increases, so that when you do a launch, you are talking to more people rather than it just being, the people that are already in the network that you've got. So I think if that's what you want to do and that's the next focus, that should be how, like, where you are, like, trying to put your resources, is to get as many people through that lead, like downloading that lead magnet. That doesn't mean that you can't still sell something, so like a power hour or whatever, you're kind of like trying to get the money, but it's building that list and building that group. Something that I don't do anywhere near enough, and I'm actually going back on the download my free shit, because it's exactly the same. It's about growing that, and every time you do a launch, before you start promoting that launch, you do that audience growth. You need that significant focus on making sure that you are talking to people who want to buy your stuff.
Okay.
And the easiest way of doing that is by giving them something free that is linked to what you are going to sell.
Great. Yeah, now I feel better.
Cool. What I will also suggest is how are you sending them that video? How are they getting access to it?
Well, and I haven't mastered that automation yet. So in the moment, I would have just see their email and then send them the video.
Right. Okay. So what I would look at,
because it's a YouTube video, so I would just send them the link.
Okay. So what you want to try and do is, in your active campaign, have a look at automations. So when somebody joins that list, it then sends them an email to say, here's the link that you're looking for, like, go here and watch the video, blah, blah, blah. And then what I suggest is, what I do is that I then wait 2 days, I think mine is, or a day or 2 days, and then send them another email to say, have you looked at it? This is great. Like, how did you find it? If you are interested in working with me further, and then put the link to a session, like where they can book a session or something. It's that upsell from from the lead magnet, because so many people forget that. People just think, oh, a lead magnet is 100% about growing my email list. Yes, it's very, very important, but it's only 90%, because that is a perfect opportunity for somebody who has just come into your world to then make the leap of buying something, be that a workbook or a mini course or a one-to-one session with you. I wouldn't go for your signature program, because that's a big jump. But think about, exactly like I said to Carol, think of the logical next step that you want that person to take. Because whenever people are talking about funnels or whatever, when it comes to sales, it is just about thinking, what is the logic? Like, where do I want them to go next? What do I want them to do next? And that could be booking a power hour with you, or it could be booking onto a class that you're already running or whatever, or it could be join a free Facebook group just to keep them in your world. It's just about keeping that, rather than, now I've got your email address, now what? Like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to send you an email every week. Are you reading it? Are you interacting with it? Do you give a shit? Are you just going to instantly unsubscribe? So have a think about what the next thing is, and then how you can use that automation in active campaigns to set something up. I've got so many automations, and to be honest, when I first looked at them, I was like, that looks really scary, and then realized that there's only 2 things that I ever use: send email, wait X number of days. That's it. Like, I don't do anything else.
Yeah, I give it a try. No, but it would, that's been very helpful. Great, I feel much better.
No worries.
I have to go. I teach a class at 5.
No worries, lovely.
A Pilates cooking pot class.
Nice.
We have to be creative, because otherwise it gets boring.
I love it.
Thank you very much.
All right, darling, no worries.
You feel better. Bye.
Bye. Amanda, did you have anything, my love, or are you good? I know it's still ridiculously early with you, so there's never any pressure. You know what I'm like. It's all right. Somebody's just decided he wants to be in my face. What are you doing? You gonna come and say hi? Say hi. Say hi. Look. He's there. Oh, Bubby. I'm so fucking tired. I'm kind of doing things backwards, keep thinking in terms of strategy and what I want to do, but I don't know what I actually want to put in the offer. Like, I want to do power hours, but I don't know if I want to make the focus what I want to make the focus. I want to plan a group program. Don't know what I want it to focus on. Right, okay. I feel like I've been overthinking it for a long time. Right, okay. So basically, you're in exactly the same position as like everybody else in the world when they first start out, and you're like, I've got lots of knowledge in my head, but I don't know what to do with any of it, and I don't know what I want to do, and I'm trying to figure it out. And yeah, feels very familiar, my love. Shockingly. Imagine I are the same person sometimes. It's quite funny. I think power hours for you, honey, are a good idea, but I wouldn't call them power hours. I'd call them strategy sessions, personally, because that's what feels weird because I'm talking to Mariana, so it's fine. Because I think that would work for your audience, or like for what you do and where you kind of work in. It's not necessarily a come and pick my brain for an hour, because the technical side of things is a difficult thing to, like, for somebody to come and go, oh, well, I've got an hour. Can you build me an entire website? Or like, people have unrealistic expectations of what you can actually do in an hour when it comes to tech, especially if you're teaching somebody. They can't pick my brain, but I can pour some of my brain out into a cup for them. Yeah, exactly. So I think what personally I would do if I was you, because obviously, so Amanda and I, for the other two are sort of like, how does she know that? When Amanda joined, we had a power hour. That was her bonus. So because you want to obviously go down more of the consultancy side of things, because that's where the money is, as well as other stuff. I think the strategy session is the perfect gateway into consultancy retainer contracts, because it is essentially, don't mind Arthur screaming in the background, shut up. Yeah, so a strategy session of you send, but you can do it really formally and sort of say, like, you book a strategy session, here are the questions, where it says, right, do you have an email, like, do you have this, do you have that, do you have this, give me all the information beforehand. And then on that call you sit with them and go, okay, what is the focus, exactly as what we've done for the last couple of people, of saying, what is the end goal, right now in this hour we're going to put a plan for this bit or this bit. And then essentially what you do is you, because you can in an hour probably, or even if you did like an hour and a half session rather than a power hour, you could do like here is a strategy. Actually, it could be very much like I'm if this feels really weird because I'm literally just talking at myself. It's quite funny. Fuck off, you little shit. You could do them like my mastery calls, where you can create them an action plan afterwards. So you charge more and you say to them, okay, we have an hour call where I sit down, we go through everything. You give me loads of pre-information. We have a conversation for an hour where you tell me what is your goal, what are we aiming for? And then I write you a plan to say, this is how I would do it. And then your upsell from that is, and here is the cost for me to do it for you, or for me to manage the project to get everything up and running. What do you think? Mariana's like, yes, that sounds good. I tried implementing calls like that for my website work a while back. Okay. I don't mean just websites though, because websites for you are a tiny portion of, like, I think because most people in businesses, they go, oh yeah, like websites. Yeah, well, I didn't think of it for the other side. People think, oh, tech is websites. It's not. Tech is everything. It is like the biggest thing that Amanda's going to hate me because I've literally just stole some of her work for one of my one-to-one clients. But like my accountancy client, I said to him, I was like, okay, but every single job that you're doing, you are quoting stuff bespoke every time. You're just going, he's like, okay. So I said, right, well, we need a proper pricing matrix. And he's like, yeah, great. Oh, that'll make it much easier on calls. And I just went, no, what we're going to do is we're going to get your web team to build a quote creation form on your website where people tick the boxes and go, I have this number of transactions, this number of employees, this number of like this much revenue. And then based on that matrix that we've just created from a pricing point of view, it spits out a indicative quote to say, oh, it will roughly cost you X a month. Are you happy with that? And they go, yes. And it then takes them to Calendly to book in their discovery call, to book, like, that is where you come in, because you know all of those different systems and you can start to piece everything together. That's a phenomenal idea for what he does. Thanks. Can you tell I used to sell software for a living? So I'm like, and then we'll do this. And funnily enough, he had my affiliate link for this, my affiliate link for that. And I was like, sign up using all these things. But yeah, so I think that's a really good idea for you, because it gives you that consultancy edge of being able to, offer that strategy session to then lead into longer term consultancy. And that could even be for companies that already have like an IT bod or somebody, like you essentially act as that, like the technical director within that business to say, okay, well, we need to do this. And it I'm now thinking of like engineering businesses and manufacturing companies and stuff that literally transcends everything. So it's like planning systems, machine maintenance systems, everything, acting as that technical director, overseeing everything, that chief technical officer sort of role. Personally, I like that you said you're a fucking genius, Hannah. Like, I'll take that. I'll totally have that. I know she's typing, so I'll just wait. Or I hope she's typing, otherwise I'm just staring at myself on Zoom. It's kind of weird. I drink my drink. The cat's staring at me across the room. I think he wants food. He's not being fed for a bit though. Writing notes and thinking, but also typing. Yes. Okay, cool. If that, I think that I like that idea for you, Hung, because like when we were talking about hourly rates and stuff, I think that fits with you much better, because it's not that's a strategic, especially with things like LinkedIn. I think you do really well on that platform. It's for people that are like, we're not aiming at people who are kind of like just getting kicked off. You know, you want somebody who's like already got a bit of knowledge about different systems and actually just wants that strategic plan of how does everything link together, how can I make it much more efficient and time saving and cost saving in that sense. I think that's where you'll really, really like add so much value for people in their businesses. 60 or 90-minute strategy session, what do you feel would be a good price point to try out? I know that's how long is a piece of string, but I genuinely can't think at 8 a.m. Okay, so I have two options. So from my pricing point of view, I've just increased mine. I haven't told anybody. I've just increased what my prices are. So my mastery intensive calls, which are 90 minutes plus an action plan, are now, I think they're going to be $449. And my Power Hour XLs, which are basically just the 90-minute call without the action plan, will be $349 as a ballpark. So I would look at what your kind of hourly rate is, and then, or like what you haven't, as much as I don't like people quoting for things through an hourly rate, we all have an hourly rate in our head of what we are happy to work for. And that is a good, like when we're in the case of, I don't know what to charge for something, starting with that number kind of works. Yeah, the hourly equivalent. Yeah. It's not how many hours am I going to work, it's me going, okay, well, that strategy session actually takes me about 3 hours in booking, doing and writing and then sending. So realistically, $450 is about right for me, because I charge about $150 an hour if I was going down the consultancy route usually, which some people really don't like. And I'm like, you're lucky it's only $150, because there are some sales coaches out there that charge 10 grand an hour. And I've been sent them like stuff, and I've sat there and gone, you want how much for an hour? I'd want them to be shitting gold bricks if I was paying somebody 10 grand an hour. But yeah, that's kind of what mine are at the moment. Does that help? I know you're frantically, she's writing, she takes so many notes, it's brilliant, I love her. What? Don't
Where do you put?
Yeah.
Where do you put this this session? Because I watch again and again.
I will upload it onto the dashboard, and I will put the link in.
All right.
Don't worry, I'll send it over for you. Is that all right, Amanda? I have Pavlov's cat, because as soon as I say goodbye, he will start meowing because he thinks that he gets food. Had a woman calculate my hourly from a consultancy time blocks and says that's lawyer's rate after I'd fixed website issues in 5 minutes. Yeah, I actually had that conversation with my dad where he was like, oh, but well, a lawyer only charges X. And I was like, I'm good for a lawyer. Like, it's not my problem. But once I think this is the mentality, is that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, you can hire a lawyer for that price. I'm like, yeah, but a lawyer also will never, ever take on a 1 hour job. Like lawyers are literally, every lawyer I've ever met will work as many hours as they physically can on a project. And if you want, like, shut up, Arthur. If you want a piece of paper printing out, oh, that's an addition. Oh, and you want something photocopied, oh, that's an addition as well. Like, none of that is included. Like, and exactly like Amanda says, so what if that's what you'd pay a lawyer? A lawyer wouldn't fix your website in the same way that a lawyer isn't going to write you an entire strategic sales plan, but I do. So, which one's going to make you more money? The lawyer that's actually saving your butt, or the person who's who's showing you how to make more money? Anyway, it's a rant. Plus, I know a lot about legals, so maybe I should get charged. Should charge what a lawyer does. And on that gorgeous, healthy note that is my cough, helped very much. Good. I'm glad. Okay. Is there anything else, or are we all good? Out what I could charge for amending a directory. Oh, I know. Hello. Look at that belly. What, are you going to come and say goodbye? Come on.
She couldn't jump yesterday. Something happened. This is the one that I had to get to the vets for.
Yeah.
Infection. And then yesterday she couldn't jump. So, assuming that she hurt herself chasing squirrels.
Oh.
Hoping so anyway, because I lost a cat who suddenly couldn't walk, and they have strokes in their spine. So I'm always a bit nervous. Oh, look at his face. You're starving me, Mama.
Snickers.
Well, you're guilt.
You're my little baby, aren't you? Can you stand up here? Stand up, say hi.
How old is he?
2.5.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, he's my little baby.
Show your wild cat. Wild cat today.
Bit bigger than you. You're only a baby.
No, she isn't.
It's really funny actually, because like when he was last at the vets, I was like, oh, so is he still growing? And they were like, no, that's how big he's gonna get. I was like, but he's tiny, like compared to so many tom cats that I've seen. Like, he's absolutely tiny. It's because his mum is absolutely miniature. Like, she's so small. And we don't know who your dad was because your mum was a hoer. We don't know where he came from.
The fosterers said that this one's mum was a working girl at Costco. So Costco have cats as, pest control.
Yeah.
And they brought her into the foster to have her babies, but then obviously they take the babies away so that she can go back to work. And I think she was taken at maybe 6 weeks.
Oh.
So she does this sucking
thing, yeah.
Every now and again when she needs comfort. So he's loving you today.
He's extremely, like, he has turned into like my weighted heated blanket this week. Like, he wants to lie on my legs constantly.
Oh, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, that's right. Every kitten in a litter can have a different father.
Yeah. Right. Well, he did have a sibling, but they didn't make it. He was only like a couple of days, and then so he was the only one. Yeah. And he was my wedding present from one of my bridesmaids.
Oh my God, I'd love a present like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't.
She was there. she was like, you know how you love Arthur? Like, well, at the time we called him Tank. We were calling him Thomas the Tank because he was the only one. Obviously, he was getting so much food. We thought he was going to be absolutely huge, and then he just stopped growing about a year and a half ago. Like, hasn't grown. I mean, he's grown outwards, but not up and what have you. I've just had a very Carol style message from my husband. I might be going to Wales for a couple of days soon. All right. Okay. That time of year again, kids.
Oh, yes.
Summer's usually the time when my husband disappears because he works for a power gen company. So summer is the time when all the power stations have their outages and breakdowns and things. But
oh, right. Yeah, we're expecting all kinds of blackouts, aren't we? And people are panicking.
Everyone panics about everything. It's like, I hate to tell you, but I worked in power gen for 10 years and we've been very, very close to constant blackouts for pretty much the entire 10 years that I've worked in power gen. This is not new, people.
I'm old enough to have grown up in the 70s, so I can remember them very clearly.
Yeah.
And of course, in Africa, it was a regular occurrence. It was called load shedding.
Yeah.
And they give you, and I mean, it was bad, but the worst time was load shedding plus no water.
Right, yeah.
And you come back here and people complain about so many tiny little things, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, well, the water went off in our village the other week and everyone was like panic buying bottles of water in the co-op. I was like, it's literally because the farmer ploughed his tractor into the pipe. Like there was guys from Northumbrian Water literally fixing it. And when I walked past, I was at the shop anyway. My husband rang me and was like, oh, will you just grab like, I was like, I'm not buying water from co-op. So I bought like 2 bottles of Coke and some coffee because I was like, I need coffee.
Yeah,
so I bought iced coffee. I was like, this is the logical thing we buy when the water goes off, not bloody water. Like, and yeah, and I walked past him. I was like, oh, are you all right? Like, do you want a brew? Because I literally only live around the corner. I was like, I've got, also because we had a really hot summer, I've always got 2-litre bottles of water in the fridge anyway, like just in case. And he was like, oh no, it's all right, love, we'll be done in like 10-15 minutes. I was like, all right, bye. Yeah, that was it. It's not quite the drama everyone's making it out to be.
No, they do like a bit of drama, don't they?
Oh, totally, yeah. Why not? A bit of sense.
All right, darling, go and get your medicine.
Yes, I'm going to go and sort myself out. But
thank you for putting me back on track.
No worries, anytime.
I desperately needed that.
Good, I am glad. Right, I will leave you all to it. I'll put this up. It'll be up tomorrow. Oh, well, I mean, I'll try and do it today, but it'll be up tomorrow anyway. So,
are you ready? The cat's pressed something, and I don't know what's gone. Okay. I'm going to press yourself. See what happens. Oh, okay.
Right, look after yourself, ladies, and I will.
Get well soon.
Right.
Bye.